Hi Snehal, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
So can you tell us something about yourself, like how many years of experience you have in manual testing and software testing?
Okay, so my name is Nehal Ingde. I have completed my engineering in electronics and telecommunication department from Amravati University. Currently, I'm working in IBS Software Solution as a software test engineer from 3.6 years of experience. And here my roles and responsibilities are to understand the customer requirement, test case design, test case execution, log the defect, prepare summary report, and to run the SQL query for database testing.
Mhm.
And in my 3.6 years of experience, I have worked in a mainly work in a two project, one in e-commerce domain and one currently I'm working in a finance domain project.
Okay, sounds good. So overall, you have 3.6 years of experience.
Yes.
Wonderful. So in your CV, you have mentioned you are preparing test scenarios and designing test cases, participated in test case review. Okay. So when you say you have participated in test case review, do you review the test cases of the other team members, or someone is reviewing the test cases of which are written by you?
Same like this, my senior team is reviewing my test cases when I'm ready for testing the particular scenario.
Mhm.
So my senior team is there, so they are reviewing my test cases. And sometimes I do that when any fresher is in our team. So in many 2-3 times I review my fresher test cases also. But beyond after that, my senior team is again test that test cases.
Mhm. Okay,
So.
nice. So let's say if I have joined in your team as a junior tester, I have almost 1 year of experience and I have joined your team. I have written the test cases for some particular user story, XYZ. Now you need to review my test cases. So can you tell me which are the various parameters that you would focus, which are the various points, which are the various details that you would be looking while reviewing the test cases?
Yeah, firstly, I will check that you cover all the positive aspect regarding to that field. All the you using the test case techniques. Like if you are testing any field, then what test techniques you are use, like boundary value analysis or equivalent partitioning, and how positive scenario you conducted, how negative scenario you check,
Mm,
and the corner scenario, which is this minor scenario is regarding to our application, how you test that. So all these things I have to take. And if your is your test cases is 80 to 80, 75 to 80% okay, then I will go ahead you for a testing purpose, execution purpose.
mm,
So that are the thing I will testing in your test cases.
mhm. Okay, great. And what about the test data?
Test data, it's from the requirement, that is whatever client required. So this from the requirement, and which type of the test data we use to testing this particular thing. So
Mm,
that is also I'm taking for that.
mhm. Okay, okay. Now consider a scenario where you were testing a certain particular build or release on Friday. Okay. You found a critical defect, or one of your team member found a critical defect. You went and spoke to development team. Okay. Now they are telling the fix will take time. So how will you manage your time in that case that you know your time is not getting wasted? What would you do further?
Actually, if the critical defect is found, then it's the first priority to my developer to fix that, because without he didn't fix, then I can not test that application or that defect. So I'm request him to fix that defect. Till the time I am find out the main functionality which are affecting due to that defect. So I am preparing my scenario regarding to like this, that what is the main functionality which are going to affect, and what is the impact of the defect in business scenario. So till the time he getting fixing the defect, at that time I am completing the scenario. And once he release the build, I'm testing that scenario in a higher severity or priority rank. Right.
Mhm. Okay. So, just wanted to ask, I am able to hear some voice of a child who is crying. So is he your child?
Actually,
Yeah. So
yes.
yeah, would you like to go? Then we can continue with the interview later as well. I'll pause the recording by that time.
No issue. Just a minute, sir. I'm just closing my door.
No, no, you
Just a minute.
can go to him. If he needs you, then we can continue.
Can't say them no.
Okay, okay.
Okay.
So just make sure
Now,
that he's fine. Yeah.
yeah. Now it's fine.
If you're giving an interview. Okay. So let's say the development team, we were discussing about the critical defect. Okay. Now
Mhm.
that critical defect, you are going to get the fix on Saturday. Now Saturdays and Sundays we are not working. So how will you? Would you tell them that you would be testing it on Monday, or would you test on Saturday? What would you
If
do?
the release if
Hmm.
the release is on Monday, then it's my priority to test that defect before Monday.
Hmm.
So I'll be working on Saturday, on Sunday on that defect.
Hmm.
I know it's a holiday time, but the main thing is that I need to focus on my what we can say work. So that's why I'm working on weekend also to
Hmm.
fixing that defect.
Great. Okay. Now, in your resume, you have mentioned designing the traceability matrix to map business requirements with the prepared test cases.
Hmm.
Okay. So, how much time does it take to create a traceability matrix?
For preparing.
The traceability matrix.
Okay, once your test cases and test scenario work is done, and after that you can map traceability is easily. It's we can write traceability matrix in Excel sheet.
Hmm.
So it's having the templates like requirement ID, number
Hmm.
of test cases,
Hmm.
and number, which functionality you are going to test, and number of test cases which are right against that functionality. So it's not taking much more time to
Hmm.
map these things, but it's very beneficial for us that due to that we can cross check that against each and every functionality we write at least one test case or not. So
Hmm.
it's very beneficial for us to track these issues, track these things.
Correct.
We
Correct.
can minimize our failure of our software at the early stage.
Hmm. Right.
We cannot mix our bug also.
Right. Right. Is it possible for you to share your screen and tell us the basic test case, oh, sorry, traceability matrix template that you are following?
Sir, actually I am logging for mobile, so it's very
Mobile.
difficult for me.
Okay, okay, no issues, no issues. That's fine. Okay, now you were also telling that you are doing database testing using SQL queries, right? So, can you tell me one of the scenario uh, where the functionality was you were supposed to test some particular functionality, okay, and you did database testing and you found out a bug in that using database testing. What was your approach and what was the bug found? Just give me a
Mm,
second. Naveen, is it possible for you to wait for 15 minutes? Hello?
Yes, sir,
Naveen?
sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
please.
I'll give you a call. Yeah.
Okay, sure, sir.
Thank you. Yes, yes, Nehal.
So if you are putting the data in some particular table, like
Mhm,
assume we are entering the data in employee name table. So if you want to fetching a particular data from particular row or column, so that's the time by using SQL query. But there are the different way that how you fetching your data, you by using where clause or by using having clause.
mhm,
So this is the difficult to manipulate having using where or having. So that's the difficult thing I have faced because after that I know having clause is used to grouping the data. When we grouping particular data and we want to fetch the output from the data, that time we use having clause. But
mhm,
I'm using where clause, so I'm not getting the required output which I want.
mhm.
So after that, I fix the defect and I'm getting the data which I want.
Now, let's say a scenario where some particular feature was working fine at your end, right? When it was
Mhm.
there in the test environment, it was working in the UAT environment as well. Now, in the production environment, the customer is facing issue in that particular functionality or feature, which has already been tested and signed off from your team or from your side. Now, they don't give you the access to the database. They don't give you the access to the environment as well. How will you debug what's going wrong over there?
Okay, so firstly, if these things happen, then I will check the uh, what the basically happened with that if there is an environment problem, browser problem, internet connectivity problem. So firstly I will check all these things, and if all is okay, then I will check that the machine problem, that is the hardware or this machine which are using to run the software, is it okay or not. And if still it happening, that still the bug is that according to the client still the bug is present, and at that time I'm communicate with my senior team, and I will find out the functionality which are going to impact it due to that defect. And similarly I will communicate with my developer team also, and if possible then we are using hot fixing at that time,
Mm.
or else my senior team is communicate with BA, and BA communicate with client for some time period to fixing that bug on their environment. So that's my approach.
Correct. Now, now that might be a possibility when you find, the bug, the root cause. When you find it out, you came to know that it's not a programming bug, but it's a training issue. Training issue means, let's say the customer was using this particular feature or functionality for the first time, and
Okay.
they were not having sufficient or adequate knowledge of this particular feature, and somehow they used it and then which led it to this particular scenario. But it is actually not a bug, but it's a training scenario. So what would you do in this case?
So if this type of situation will came, then I will firstly communicate with my client that that is the functionality of that application and how you need to use that functionality. And if he didn't know about it, then I will tell him that you need to add like this type of login, this type of password, and this type of the thing to log in this particular page. And means I will familiar him regarding to the features. So
Mhm.
that's the
Right.
approach.
In this scenario, you can also do, uh, you can create a flow of the functionality or feature, or you can take a help from, the people who are making technical help documentations, and you can
Yes, yes,
take the screenshots and you can tell them that this is how the flow would go from A to C to D and so on,
yes,
so
correct.
that they don't get confused and they don't come
Confused.
again and again, take those, log those issues and all those things. So this is
Okay.
also one of the point. Okay, now consider a scenario where you have release on today is 29. So you have release after 1 week. Okay, and before release, 3 to 4 days is, code freeze only. No one is allowed to do check-in, and no one is allowed to do any push, any changes into the code, into the application, into the software. Now in this scenario, there is a requirement from client, okay, which is actually a business requirement. Now they need some particular changes, they need some particular feature or functionality to be developed. So there is a grooming needs to be scheduled. Okay, so grooming session is there. Now you are a part of that grooming session. You, along with other team members, business analysts, and all those people, are reviewing a particular user story. Okay, now while reviewing the user story, what points would you think should be there or should not be there? What would be your expectations when you have release coming up?
Okay, so before releasing, before
Hmm.
3 to 4 days before releasing, so if this grooming meeting is conducted by the BA or my team member, so in that there is a discussion between the which is upcoming functionality we are going to install or we are going to add. So we'll discussing about that, what are the existing functionality impact of that existing functionality with that new functionality, and what are the risks we can face by adding this functionality in this build. So if the requirement is not too much important according to the client, then we can fix that requirement in our next sprint or in next build.
Hmm.
Because this not affecting in our functional existing functionality. And if
Hmm.
according to the client it is important, then we are fixing that requirement in our build by but we were doing regression testing at that time, that our what is the existing things we are doing and what are the new feature we are adding. So what are the impacted things, all these things we are discussing in that meeting. So which type of the testing we can use, and how we can add this new feature in our existing feature. So
Hmm.
that's the things we are discussing in grooming session.
Okay. What do you mean by acceptance criteria? You would have seen that in the user story, right? Acceptance criteria.
Acceptance criteria, it means that if your application is satisfying is as per the customer requirement, sorry, client requirement,
Hmm.
is satisfying all the customer needs. So this is the acceptance criteria, that yes, it is fulfill, our software is fulfill the customer requirement or client requirement. So that is the acceptance criteria according to me.
Now, don't you think in the acceptance criteria, the non-functional requirements should also be mentioned? Let's say if it's as you have worked on e-commerce based application. So for example, your e-commerce based product should be able to handle, for example, 200 users at a time, navigating to the various products and adding them to the cart, right? So
Yes,
don't you think the non-functional requirements should be a part of acceptance criteria?
yes, sure.
Right?
Yes,
So in this
yes.
particular scenario where you have a release in almost 1 week, and
Mhm.
right, you have very less time for development and for testing as well. So what you
Testings.
can do is you can get it mentioned from the business analyst itself, or from the PO or from the PM, that this particular acceptance criteria should be there, that the functionality wise we would be able to certify it, but from the performance testing wise, let's say how many number of users are there, or how many concurrent users would be able to use, what would be the performance of the application, how would be the response time of the application. Those all things you can tell that we can take it in the next phase, or you can take it in the
Next week.
next release, right? So generally, you get these questions in the interview, that you have very less time, how will you validate these things? So this is how you can collaborate with the other team members, like business analysts, the PMs are there, and then you can get some confirmation, some approvals from the stakeholders as well. Let's see, this is the time limit, we would be able to do this many things only, so that there is not a level of higher commitment which you do, and at the same time they will be expecting within the limit only, whichever you commit, that only would be the expectation. Otherwise they would feel, no, everything is working fine, like that, you know
Correct.
that happens. Okay, fine. Mm, okay. Now you are participating in the daily scrum meeting to discuss about project progress report every day. So what can you explain me what happens in the daily scrum meeting?
Yeah, it's the part of agile process. So
Mm,
in daily scrum meeting, there is a meeting. Daily stand-up meeting is conducted by our BA Scrum Master in
mm,
50 to 20 minutes. So in that meeting, they are discussing about what is your yesterday task, what is your today task, and which type of the impediments you are faced to uh, in your task. So this type of the things discussing in that meeting. So
mm,
if there is a problem or showstopper is there, so at our Scrum Master will help us to sort out these things.
mm,
And how much actually sprint time is already defined, so how much work should we need to uh, need to done to cover this, that we can release our build in a given sprint.
mm.
So that type of the things are discussing in daily scrum meeting.
Okay. Now let's say you are writing the test case of some particular user story.
Okay.
Now, let's say on Monday you started writing test cases of that user story. Tuesday, Monday to Friday, you have completed all the test cases, right? Now, when you come to the office next Monday, you came to know there was some discussion with the client of the business analyst. Now they have completely changed the story, right? So requirements are changing now. So how will you deal with this situation?
If there is a release on particular day,
No, no,
is
it's
there
not
any
related
release?
to release. Let's say there was some user story, you have written the test cases, you have performed the testing. Now, after 1 week, you came to know that there was some discussion between the business analyst, stakeholders, and the client, and that particular user story on which you had already worked has got now, the requirements have got changed
Change.
in that particular user story. So, how will you deal with this situation?
Okay, so according to the user story, I'm compare my existing functionality, existing requirement and new requirement. If this there is any matching, then it's okay, then if not there is any matching, then I need to write new test cases for the requirement, because we can't go against to the client requirement. So I know it's a time taken activity, but no option. I need to do according to requirement. So I'm communicate with my scrum master or BA, sorry, scrum master, and I'm asking it for time duration, if 1 or 2 more days, if I get to write a new test cases on that thing. So this approach, my approach for this particular thing.
Okay, fine. So what you can also add in your answer is you will be working closely with the business analyst or product owner, and you will understand the exact requirement and the changes that that has been requested from the client side. What were the changes? Because you either will have to write the new test cases, or you will have to update the existing test cases as well, right?
Correct.
Then you will have to understand the risk of this requirement. Let's say if this is the particular requirement, so how will it impact the other features, existing features, right? Would it be taken into the consideration the backward compatibility, right? Those cases should be working as it is, right? So and you should not start the testing until unless you get a proper 100% clarity on the new requirement.
Requirement,
Yeah.
yes.
So that is there. Now, what is the importance of daily stand-up meetings? You mentioned you are following Agile. So, what is the
Yes.
importance of daily stand-up meetings?
Daily stand-up meeting is perform the very important role, because yeah, you are assigning task in a day wise. So how we can, so we can share our progress, that today's we have completed this task, so tomorrow we are going to fixing this task and all these things. So in daily scrum meeting we are every day report sharing to our scrum master that yes, we are doing this and these things. And also we are, if you are facing some particular issue, then we
Mhm.
can communicate with our scrum master or any senior team. So
Mm,
due to that issue we cannot stop our working. So
mm.
that is the main beneficial for, that is the main importance of daily scrum meeting,
It's coming.
that we cannot stop our work.
Absolutely. Can you tell me one particular example or one particular instance where what issue you were facing, and then then you raised it and you brought it before the in the daily scrum meeting before everyone, and then it was resolved. Can you tell me one instance, one example?
Yes, actually, there was a one amount field in
Mm,
my existing project. So in that amount field, when I'm entering the value,
mm,
it not accepting the, actually it accepting decimal value. Like if you are entering 110.75, then it accepting, but it get round figure.
mm,
It it's round figured at 11. So it will affecting the amount. It's the amount field, so it will be affecting the total amount billing.
mm,
So it's a huge difference is produced due to that round figure value. So I found that defect and I communicate with my developer team. But my developer team thought that this is not a defect. You doesn't know about the functionality, and he's not ready to accept that defect.
mm.
So due to my daily scrum meeting, I solved this issue with, I communicate with my scrum master and senior team and my manager also. And they also found that no, it's a defect. So developer need to fix that defect in higher priority. So that is possible due to the daily scrum meeting.
Absolutely. Yeah, wonderful. So thank you so much, Snehal. I'm done with the interview. Do you have any questions for me?
Sir, actually, I'm preparing for a interview for a job change. So nowadays, I'm looking to for some facing some interviews. So I want a suggestion from you that where I'm lacking and where I need to focus more things. So
See,
for
with
this,
respect to manual testing, the real-time testing interview questions, you are good. You don't need to worry anything about it. But what I feel is you should add some automation skills, something related to Selenium, API testing in your CV, right? So I was going through your
okay,
CV at the time of interview as well, and I was preparing the questions based on the points that you have jotted down in this CV, right? So I couldn't see anywhere, automation or Selenium, something like that.
yes.
So why don't
No,
you,
I'm
yeah,
actually, sir, in my 3.6 year career, I never got a chance to perform automation testing. But
absolutely.
I'm currently, I'm just trying to go inside. So I'm currently preparing my API testing also.
Hmm.
But I'm not a perfect in it, so I'm not added this skill in my resume.
Mm. So let's say even if you are not getting confidence of API testing, but get that confidence, learn that thing, try to do some hands-on experience on Saturdays and Sundays, because see, the office work, the projects work that we are doing day to day on the day-to-day basis, it's very difficult to upgrade ourselves. But you can take out some time on weekends, and if you add those skills in your CV, so definitely it would be very good for you to get calls for for interviews and all those things, because these days people are looking for something apart from manual testing. Like
Manual testing.
manual testing is must, that you should know, that you are knowing, that's a good thing. Now you need to go to the next level.
Okay, sir. Definitely, I will try for it.
Yeah, okay. Thank you so much, Snehal,
Okay.
for coming on our channel. And I'm so happy that you came on Sunday and we are having this mock interview. So if
Sir,
you
actually, I'm thanking to you that you are taking a time and taking our this type of the student mock interview. So it's really good things that we can. I saw many videos and many
Mm,
mock interviews on your YouTube channel, and
mm,
it's really very impressive. So I thought, yes, one day I will also going to do such
thank
type of
you.
the mock interview.
No, no,
So that's
definitely.
nice.
So good to connect with you virtually. And please share interview questions with us, whichever companies you are giving the interviews. And please share success story also. I'm sure definitely you will be getting selected in some good company very soon.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
All the best for your career.
Thank you so much.